Hi,
Hello, how are you?
how are you?
I'm good.
I'm good.
And what's your name?
Noor Mohammed.
Meet you. My name is Hamid.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. How
So,
is today?
today is a little busy. I've had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
students, but it's been a good day.
Yeah. Are you from California?
Born in Libya.
Mm-hmm.
Libya.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Libya. Then I moved to the United
Mm-hmm.
States and I lived in Kansas City, Missouri. Then
Mm-hmm.
I have been traveling around the world for the last 3 years.
How long you
So
working
I
in
haven't
Cambly?
been back to the US in 3 years.
1 year.
I've been working on Cambly for about 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, this network is problem.
Okay. If you turn off your camera, it'll make the connection stronger.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know how to turn off your camera? Yes. So let me know if there's any other problems. Sometimes the upload and download slow each other down, but if you just do the download, it makes it easier.
Yes, absolutely.
Saying geopolitical problems.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a conversation.
So tell me which geopolitical issue you were talking about and say it a little slow because I got to hear exactly what you were saying.
The currently in China and Hong Kong,
Oh, okay.
the
Hong
conflict
Kong and China.
and one country two system.
Hmm.
That China break the promise.
Yes, they implemented their national security law
Yeah.
over Hong Kong. So
Yeah.
the United States and other nations, they have been uh, threatening and to use sanctions against it for encroaching upon the
Yeah,
Hong
it
Kong
will be Hong Kong, one
autonomy.
more city in China in future. The capital city, it will be more the communism. Yeah. What about the
Yeah,
international community? What the
and
responsible? What the
really,
response? UN and in the America and in Western countries and Middle East. What will be is responsible?
well, it's because the question becomes how far are we willing to go?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to sanction China and force them into negotiations and letting Hong Kong have more autonomy? Or are we going to threaten physical altercations like war or an attack for it?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not willing to do either, then there's nothing that's going to happen, and Hong Kong's going to get beaten down, and the protesters will be arrested, any people that dissent will
The
be taken
country,
in, and the world will
yeah,
just
the
watch.
world can't. The
But if the world
sanction
is
is not
united,
possible. The
go ahead.
mostly the supply in China is all over the supply the material. Supply have a China has a supply chain. Every product you see the every 10 product, just
Hmm.
5 or 6 products in
Well,
China, made in China. How is possible?
but
Mhm.
we don't have to be reliant on China. If the world took it upon themselves to put sanctions,
Mhm.
we could force them into negotiations to change their behavior. And if China refuses, then we could spend government investments and creating our own supply chains. So you could subsidize each thing that you need that we're reliant on. It would cost us a little bit more, and it
Mhm.
would cost taxpayers a little bit in funding, but it would also make the United States, Europe, and other nations dependent or independent. They wouldn't need anything from China, and that could cause devastating economic issues to China. So China would either have to cave to international pressure, or they would have to be willing to be frozen out like the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and it collapsed the
It will
economy
become in future,
in
maybe.
Russia. Yeah, it well, it depends who's the president of the U.S. Trump, he's not going to negotiate with any other countries. He's not going to organize. He thinks he can do everything himself. If he does that, nothing will happen. China can wait him out.
Yeah,
China
China
doesn't
already
care.
have a lot
It
of
doesn't
most of
matter
the
if just the United
various
States
countries in
says
South
no.
Asia and Africa. They have supported, including in around the India, in
Yeah.
Bangladesh, in
The
Sri
only
Lanka, in Myanmar and Pakistan. Every country he put a lot of investment. They have supported in all over the world mostly.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
a similar situation with the Soviet Union when they were expanding into Europe, and they had
After
the
the corona,
Europe
yeah, go ahead.
part of the Soviet Union. I was saying they into the European countries, and they were pushing outwards and creating the socialist Soviet Union of Russia, the USSR, and this was defeated by the Cold War because they had successfully banned enough countries to stop doing business with them. The same thing could happen to China. Even if China has Myanmar and all these other small countries around them, if the United States gets all the large economies together and effectively put a ban on China, you would see up to a 60% GDP deflation. They could lose a lot of their outgoing supplies or outgoing, not supplies, outgoing, yeah, supplies, but there's also a word for it. I'm just having trouble thinking about it. I wasn't thinking economics
What
today.
about in after the
But yeah,
pandemic,
you know what I mean.
the world economic will move to the China will dominated the world economic?
It just depends if they want to. So in the United States, we're having a big push to build American. So we see how dependent we were on Chinese companies, and now they're talking about bringing companies home and building new factories and building new manufacturing so that
What about
we
in
don't
the
have
country
to depend on
after
China
Gaddafi?
creating anything.
How is that?
So we'll see.
How is that? After Gaddafi, before Gaddafi, how is that?
Gaddafi?
Now,
Gaddafi was
how is
trash.
that?
He always was. There's no excuse for him. He's a terrible leader. Destroyed the country. Well, I'll explain it all. It's complicated. Gaddafi was a horrible leader.
Now
He was greedy.
Yeah.
What?
Terrible leader.
Gaddafi was a horrible leader.
Why?
Gaddafi was a horrible leader. He destroyed the economy. He destroyed the education. He was scared. Huh? He destroyed everything because he was scared if the people were powerful that they would overthrow him. But they overthrew him anyway. But now because they had no education, no systems and institutions built, now the country collapsed. And now we're in civil war, and there's nothing to organize it, nothing to bring the people together, and it's been going on for years.
All over the Libya.
It was so bad. They still think, okay, they were teaching in the school that in the universe there's only 9 planets. So not our solar system. They're talking about the whole universe.
And clubs. And people don't ask the government that. Not provide.
He would make it so people were dependent on the government.
Sorry?
What? I was saying he made it so dependent on the government. He didn't want people to be independent. He didn't want people to be successful Because if they were
Successful,
successful,
the people
he
will ask
thought
the
they would
government.
challenge him.
So he didn't provide everything.
Yeah. He made sure everything was terrible. And him and his family were one of the richest families in the world because they stole from the country.
What again?
So,
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
oh, yes.
Nice to meet
Yes.
you.
Well, it was nice to meet you.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.